Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where it's about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Hightown. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, we're dealing with the aftermath of the last episode. I do like that the episode kind of has some levity at the beginning with the whole thing about, like, oh yeah, they have an eyewitness who saw Osito and Jr., but she didn't get a good look at him because she didn't have her glasses on. And it's like, and Ray's like, why didn't you have your glasses on? She's like, have you ever tried sucking dick with glasses on? And he's just like, no, I can't say that I have. So it's just like I said, I like they start off with a little levity. Then we get to some heavy shit when Jackie shows up and obviously Alan and Ray are talking to her. And so it's like, obviously, like, Ray kind of throws it at her, like, oh, like, you are high. That's why, like, oh, like, what, like, the fact of the matter is you called her back, right? It's like, yeah, because she'd call me. Why would she call you? It's like, I left my number. It's like, oh, you found her. Yeah, so why didn't you come to me? Because she's like, I didn't think you would give a shit. Which, to be fair, it's understandable why she would think that. She came to you, and she even said it. I came to you a week ago about Krista Collins, because he kind of throws it in her face of like, if it wasn't for you, you made the wrong judgment, because if you had come to me, we could have gotten to Krista and she'd actually be alive. And then, like, because obviously, like, you know, the sad thing is, basically Ray's everything that Jackie feels. She's already beating herself up relentlessly about this, and so just Ray just adding more to it. And Alan trying to calm everything down by being like, you know, the fact of the matter is, it's just kind of a sad, sucky situation. We're all on the same side here. And because especially when she hears how, like, it's like, how did she die? And it's like, she was beaten to death, which is like, I'm sure there could be wiggle room. Like, if they had made it look like a suicide, then it could have been like, Jackie still might have been like, damn, I did this to her. But it's like, it's one thing to be like, all right, she was shot, that sucks. But to be beaten to death, it's like a whole nother level of things, you know? So it makes it just, like I said, it made me, they even showed it. Like, I wasn't expecting them to actually show, like, Krista's body, and it's like, Jesus. And because, like, Jackie was like, can I see it? And, like, they were like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. So she never got to see Krista. I think if she did, it would just haunted her, like, dreams and stuff, you know. But the sad thing is, like I said, this is just going to be like Jackie's low, because she blames herself, because it's like, because I didn't have my shit together. She even says it later on. I did one drink yesterday, and it spiraled, and I ended up fucking up everything, you know. So I just, you know, it's sad to see Jackie, you know, in this state. And it's just kind of like, they bring up Frankie. Obviously, like, Jackie doesn't know anything about Frankie, so it's like, but for her, it's like, oh, like, if he's behind all this, I hope he dies in prison, that he gets, like, basically ass cancer. And Ray's like, I feel the same way too. So, and obviously for Jackie, she doesn't even want to go home. She goes to Ed, and she's like, I'm sorry, I have nowhere else to go. And she, like, breaks down, you know. And he suggests she goes to a meeting, and she does later on. And she's like, she doesn't even know. She's like, I know I'm supposed to stop drinking, but beyond that, she's like, I don't know what else to do. But it's like, the fact is that she's back in a meeting. I think because she's like, yeah, I tried the whole, like, AA thing before, but it didn't work. She's like, I think I did it wrong, you know. And it's just like, and then she hears that, like, Junior's not here. She's like, what's that all about? Which Junior's still dealing with the aftermath. He's, like, falling apart. And I think it's such an interesting parallel that they create in this case, too, because I brought up the parallels between Krista and Jackie to a certain extent. But now you do it on, like, both of them are just, like, in a low. Because, like, you know, Jackie in a low because she blames herself for all of this. Junior because he's like, I was there. I bear witness to this. Like, because also probably he's like, if I did what I was supposed to first, she could have died. Yes, she would have died, but at least she would have died a little less, like, brutally than she did. Like, he wouldn't have bashed her head in, like, you know. So yeah, obviously it's affecting him, and obviously Donna's like, what's wrong with you? Are you using it again? He's like, no. And obviously he can't tell her anything, and he's just not himself. Obviously, you know, Osito meets up with Wayne and is like, oh, like, he's trying to, like, do business. It's like, yeah, like, you give me some of your stuff, I'm gonna sell it and stuff like that up in P-Town. He's like, obviously I don't want nothing come back to Frankie. And he's like, the fact of the matter is, I'm all about keeping my mouth shut, so, you know, you ain't gonna have to worry about, like, Frankie hearing nothing about it from me. But I'm curious to see kind of what I eventually Frankie's probably going to hear about what Osito's up to, and then that's probably going to backfire on him. But, you know, we'll see soon enough. It's actually interesting, the whole situation where, like, obviously, like, Frankie Jr. was bouncing on the couch, fell, bumped his head, and started bleeding a lot. Obviously, Renee took him to the hospital, and she texted, right? She's like, I didn't even know I should even tell you, but it's like, yeah, he showed up and he was there. She's even saying the thing of like, what is this, Ray? What are we doing? Because like, for her, it's a thing of like, obviously she knows she got with Ray mainly to use him, but now it is a thing of like, it has become a little serious because I think she does actually kind of care about Ray, especially the way he's shown compassion to her and Frankie Jr. So like, it's turned into a complicated situation because obviously he doesn't know you're using him, but at the same time he's somewhat using you, but he's kind of pulled back on the whole using you thing, and you don't really use him because you're like, you don't talk about that stuff. We'll get to that soon enough, but it's got kind of a complicated mess of a situation that I'm curious, like maybe there's something real underneath all the complications that brought these two ultimately together. But regardless, the fact of the matter is Osito has Junior selling stuff. And for him, it's like, it's like, have you heard from Frankie? He's like, no, and I don't care. Like, Junior's like, if he wants to kill me, let him kill me. Like, because Junior just kind of, he's lost his will to live. Which Osito's just like, the moment you start making money, it'll kind of make it all better. But it's just kind of like, here's a gun too. You're a soldier now, so get out there and make that money. But it's just kind of like, you could tell like he's walking around like a zombie. Even like, Jackie runs into him. It's like, oh yeah, that whole Krista thing, she's dead. And he's like, oh whoa. And it's just kind of like Junior's kind of brushing off. He's acting like a dick to her. And she's like, what the hell? And he's like, I've got my own bullshit to deal with. And the fact of the matter is, I don't have. It's not just about you. She's like, I know it's not just about me. This is about all of this, because she brought up Frankie's name too, and he was like, yeah, I don't know Frankie. She's like, I just assume you're a drug dealer, he does drugs, like you might have some connect. And he's like basically they're telling each other to fuck off type of situation. And it's like, you could tell that like basically, like I said, he's almost like zombie-ish. He's just kind of going with the flow of things. He was pissed at Jackie. I think you can interpret that many different ways. Obviously, he's pissed at himself, so he needs someone else to blame. He's lashing out to her. Or you could look at it as a deeper meaning of like, you put me in this situation, Jackie, because you couldn't keep your nose out of this. You found Krista and all that. That in a roundabout way put me in a position where I had to be there to almost kill her, but it ended up being Osito. So there's that. And speaking of Junior and Osito, there is a picture taken of them driving, and it's like, okay, so they're gone, and by the time they get back timeline wise, it puts them in a perfect window where they could have killed Krista and made it back. So obviously they kind of already had an idea, but now this kind of cements it. Granted, they don't know who Junior is. It's probably not going to be until Jackie gets around. Well, that might not be the case anymore, because I don't know if they're going to correlate to be like, oh, is this someone that Jackie knows? They already brought up, oh, they probably won't, because like Jackie didn't know about Frankie, so they're probably like, oh, she probably doesn't know any of his associates, so she probably doesn't know Osita, probably doesn't know who this dude is. To be fair, they didn't know about Junior at the time. Once again, they still don't know. They just look at some tall white dude who kicks it with Osito. We don't know beyond that who he is. But there's that sad thing of like, Junior going to that place, and he's talking like he's getting the people who were buying drugs for him riled up. He was looking for, like I said, the entire time, he was just looking for an excuse for someone to fight. He's not trying to fight back. He needed to feel something else. He needed to get the shit kicked out of him so that he could, alleviate some of that guilt, make him feel a little better. It's just he needed to feel something other than kind of like the emptiness that he was kind of, feeling, Ray and Les end up talking to Scotty, and they ultimately end up getting him to break, and he ends up talking about the fact is of like, yeah, he told Osito about everything, so now this ends up tying everything together. It's like, all right, we're gonna go get Osito. It's like, you sure about that? He's like, yeah, he's a flight risk, and the fact of the matter is, and I love Ray's line of like, I'm tired of jerking off to this guy, I want to fuck. And I'm like, I like the metaphor that he's using in that regard. So they end up arresting Osito, and obviously Ray, kind of during the interrogation, kind of throws everything they kind of know. It's like, oh, here's this picture. I know you had something to do with Sherry's death. I know you had something to do with Sherry, with Krista. The fact of the matter is, I know that this and that, like, the fact of the matter is, if we bring your boy in, your white boy, like, if we bring him in, what's telling you that you really think he won't flip on you? So it's like, we know Frankie was behind this, he gave the orders, so but Osito won't crack. I was wondering if he would, because part of me was like, you could, but I mean, I was about to say, like, it could get Frankie out of the way. To be fair, he's got his own hustle right now, so it's kind of, he wants Frankie to stay in play, because if he messes with Frankie in any shape or form, Frankie's going to be gunning for him. So it's like, at least this way, he stays on Frankie's good side while he's also doing shit behind Frankie's back. But also, I think it's just the whole, no snitch thing, mentality, but also just kind of like I said, he just knows. I mean, hell, Frankie's already behind bars, still putting out hits on people, so it's like, he would be no different, So why get caught up in it? Because he also knows that Ray doesn't have enough on him. And even though, even their boss was like, you don't got jack shit. He's like, no, we do this and do that. It's like, no, you tried, but you failed miserably. You don't have anything on him. Speaking of Frankie, there's that whole conversation between him and Renee. I thought was interesting, because it's like, oh, she's there with Frankie Jr. and everything, and then Frankie Jr. is like, oh yeah, he's like, whoa, you got an iPad? And Frankie Jr. is like, yeah, I got it from Uncle Ray. And the moment he said that, I was like, ooh boy. But even I had to take for it. I was like, yeah, but it's weird. Yeah, he's like Uncle Ray and everything. But it's like, well, to be fair, you did tell her to get close to Ray, but it's like, that doesn't have anything to do with him getting close to your son, right? And he literally says that. So I'm like, yeah. Once again, it's interesting, like how you pimp your wife out to him. But it's like, no, whoa, it got a little too intimate, because now he getting too close to my son and everything, which obviously for Renee, she's just kind of like, fuck you, Frankie. The fact of the matter is, it's like, me and Ray don't talk about that type of stuff. It's not like that between me and him. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not your wife, not your girlfriend. Like, the fact is, she's just tired of everything. Like, for her, it's like, I'm not that 19-year-old that, looked at you with starry eyes, who was so in love and stuff like that, who, it's like, oh, I'm with the drug dealer that takes me to Sizzler. It's like, no, it's not like that. She's like, so basically, I'm gonna do my job. Because basically, he's trying to say, like, oh, you're right, you're not 19 anymore. Eventually, you've got, 5-10 more years at that strip club before they go like, oh, you're getting old, and they boot you. And it's like, you're going to want to remember, the fact of the matter is, we're together, I'm going to be looking after you and stuff like that. But she just kind of says deuces to Frankie and bounces. So you have Jackie doing her own research on Frankie. She learns about Renee. She shows up at the strip club, kind of try to get Renee in a one-on-one with her, and they do, but then it's like, I got some questions about Frankie, and it's like, oh, you're a cop, which is so interesting you had that reaction, considering the fact is you're kind of somewhat dating a cop, so it's just, I just think that's a little interesting and ironic, but for her, it's like, fuck Frankie and fuck you. Fact of the matter is, if you want to know so much about Frankie, why don't you go see the guy himself? And then, lo and behold, that's exactly what she does. She has a sit down with Frankie. I was like, whoa, that's super ballsy of you. And for her, it's like, the fact of the matter is, it's like, oh, he knows exactly who she is, because it's like, all right, Jackie, you're that fish cop that's been looking. He's like, you heard about me? So for her, she's like, oh, the fact is you know about me. Does that mean she's thinking this might be someone from her department that might be ratting on her? It's like, well, we know that the person that told about her is in the well, because Junior hasn't said anything specific. He just says, I know the person who is running, who's talking about it. He said he knew, but he never gave up Jackie's name specifically. I'm assuming it's just, maybe we'll end up finding out it is someone connected to her job, but we know a lot of this information came from that sobriety place she was in at first, because what's her name, Tina, whatever, called up her boyfriend who is associated with Osito or Frankie or both, whatever the case may be. That was the connection there, but for him to know her name and recognize her, it's like, oh yeah, you're the fish cop and everything. When she said, I'm just, because she didn't say that initially, she was like, oh yeah, I'm a federal agent. That's all she really, ended up saying. But for her, it's like, the fact of the matter is, after the whole Sherry situation, she's like, after the whole Krista situation, I had to be like, Frankie, who is this guy? And then she's like, she expected him to be some badass, but now she looks at him, she's like, you're just some dude with no balls behind prison getting other people to do hits for you and stuff like that. But for her, she makes it pretty clear, the fact of the matter is, her whole thing, I forgot, she said, she's like, I'm gonna do this, probably gonna eat me some pussy, and then I'm gonna dedicate everything I've got to making sure you never get out of here. And it was like, yo, Jackie going hard, basically saying, you're gonna be my white whale. And Frankie's just looking at her, she's like, you don't even know what that's a reference to, do you? You ignorant fuck. I was like, I like that line, calling him an ignorant fuck. I don't know why. I like that line for whatever reason. It's such a weird it's like that, like it's a weird insult I heard. Like I only noticed because of like a song references it, but I guess it's like a used enough phrase, ignorant slut. Like I don't know why, just like it's because it's such a weird insult that I'm like, I find it a little funny. So ignorant fuck, I just found a little funny, so it resonated with me. Sometimes I like that line for whatever reason. But for her, it's like, yeah, like I'm gonna do whatever I can to take you down. Also, you know, you're gonna be spending the rest of your life in prison. I don't think Renee's gonna wait for you. So saying that's just gonna tick Frankie off. So obviously, like he's gonna probably try to hit up Osito and Jr. potentially to kind of deal with this. But it's like Jr. in the state that he's in right now, would he even like care? I mean, he cared before he tried to save Jackie, so it's like, would he even care now? Like I mean, to be fair, he's in a very self-destructive mode. He's not using, but he's pretty much just kind of like, I don't care anymore, which is so sad because he fought and struggled so hard to get back with Donna and be with his daughter, you know. So, but nevertheless, there's, you know, all of that, and obviously, she gets home dude from her job to help her look into this whole trying to figure out like what boats left. I didn't even talk about like what actually like sit like Jackie down this path and everything was her nightmare, and it was Krista being like, because she was like, what can I do for you? She was like, you can don't be a pussy, basically, like don't just kind of like fall apart, don't be scared, like, and basically like this is just that point where like Jackie just like nutted up or labiated up, if you prefer that, you know. So once again, it's not the best thing because now it's going to put you in Frankie's crosshairs. But also, like the moment home dude was offering to help her, I was like, oh, he's trying to help her because he wants to bang her. It's like he knows Jackie's gay, but he's still thinking like, oh man, I still have a shot. Oh, she's gonna owe me. So he's like, oh, basically like, you'll take me to, she's like, all right, I'll take you to dinner. He's like, how about dinner and I get to sleep over in your house? And she's like, now you're downgraded to a drink. He's like, okay, a drink, and I get to sleep over. And she's like, fine. He was like, a drink. All right, let's go get it while this is. She's like, what? Not right now. He's like, I thought right now. And he kind of felt, I just thought the whole exchange was so interesting. But obviously she looks at the list and she sees was it Jack and Bobby too, which is Junior's boat. So now probably piecing that together with everything, the way he's been acting recently, probably pieces it together like, holy shit, like Junior's connected to all of this. Because he's going to be the key to taking this whole thing down. I mean, because I feel like out of anybody, Junior, maybe before, Junior might have flipped. Maybe not. Who knows? Well, I don't know if he'll flip now. Like I said, he's just kind of in a very like self-destructive mood right now. So it also depends on who gets to him first. Is it going to? I would assume it'd be Jackie gets to him before, like, because Ray and Alan still don't know who Junior is, you know. So because obviously all their attention's mainly been on Osito because they know who he is and everything. So I haven't loved that whole thing about like Osito talking about like the fact is his girl is she's great, she's out of his league and everything, but she's kind of an idiot. She's like she might be half dumb, but she knows that if I ever get popped, to call my lawyer, because it's like, yeah, she might be a bit of a dummy, but that's bae, you know. It was just kind of interesting. I was like, oh, that's you know, that's a super heavy backhanded compliment. It's like, yeah, she's beautiful and everything, but she's dumb as doornails. And the fact of the matter is, but even if she is, she's a ride or die type of chick. It was just an interesting like back and forth compliment, insult, some compliments, insult type of situation. It was just interesting. I am very interested to see what Jackie does now that she knows that Junior's connected. As part of me was thinking for a second, I was like, is she going to think his dad's associated with this? But it's like, no, he's part of that drug world. Plus, he's the one that's been acting weird lately, especially because she might blame herself, because she might be like, I'm the one that brought up Krista around you all this time. And hell, even knowing that he's the one that had something to do with, well, at least that he's associated with all this, she still doesn't know what role and what part, Junior's played in all this. Granted, he's disposed of the bodies, but he hasn't really done like the murdery stuff, because he never killed Sherry, disposed of the body. He was going to kill Krista, but he never did. So like I said, that's why there's a little bit more wiggle room. But once again, back to what I brought up multiple times, he's not in the right state of mind currently. Like I said, very self-destructive. So I'm really curious to see where all this ultimately ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.